Hello, friends. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Great start to the week. Had some reflections I want to share. I'll probably dive off into this at class tomorrow night. And if you've not attended a class, I highly encourage it because you're around like-minded folks. We share ideas, we share wins. We'll do a lot more of that type of strategy tomorrow evening, because I believe it has great value, as does accountability. A lot of our most successful cases had an accountability partner, whether it's a relative, a coworker, friend, neighbor, what have you. Anyone who cares about you and you about them, where it's mutually beneficial, is always a win, right? So as I've been reflecting, the one thing that stands out to me and that I see often is that your mind can either be your greatest asset or your largest deterrent. And what do I mean by that? So there's no shortage of noise and distractions in our world today, right? I think we all could agree with that. So what my suggestion is in terms of strategy and leverage is to find yourself some quiet time so that you can revisit your why. If you have a really strong why that is rich and high in expectation, you're going to have high results. You're going to perform wonderfully. But even if that's coupled with a lot of stress, a lot of distractions, many times you're able to overcome that. So for someone who comes into this program, or not just the program, but the journey of improving or optimizing quality of life, if your why is strong and you adhere to it and you revisit it and you culture its unfolding, then you'll have a great outcome. If you have a mediocre why, or if your constitution is more mediocre, then you probably can expect a lower outcome. And then by the same concept, if you have a low expectation or your why is very weak, then I wouldn't have much of any expectation of performance or results or favorable outcome. And that's typically the way it is with anything we venture into in life. The more you put into it of your best efforts, your excellence, not perfection. There's a big difference between excellence and perfection. We can talk about that at a later date. Then you will see a fantastic return on your time investment, your economic investment, and the investment of your efforts. And I think that common thread stands out the most, particularly this time of year when people start to break free from hibernation. They have plenty of cabin fever. Now they have spring fever. And you want to get out and you want to feel better. You want to physically feel better. You want to physically look better. You want to rest better and function and perform better. And there's nothing wrong with that. Those are great reasons. So the mind will get you there. Now, what are some practical things you can begin with immediately? My strong suggestion is that you guard a portion of your day, be it 5 minutes, 15, 30, an hour, or more. Guard that time without distractions. That means leave your cell phone at home, go for a walk through the woods, walk through the park, walk in the greenway, ride a bike, whatever you know fills your tank back up. Because as soon as you re-enter your world or your routine, those distractions will be there waiting for you. Innumerable, right? So I think a good practice is that we spend time alone with our thoughts, whether it's prayer, meditation, whatever season you're in right now, in terms of developing yourself. Now, some of you may feel like you're just coasting, you're out of energy. That's a great time to have an accountability partner. You can use us. You can use, like I said earlier in the video, someone that you're well acquainted with. It's many times easier to find someone in the same boat as you. Then you don't feel like you're having to compete. You don't feel like you're having to measure up, or you're being judged. So find someone like that. There's plenty of people around. I know pride gets in the way. Self-consciousness gets in the way and prevents us from being vulnerable or putting ourselves out there. But remember that you're not the only one. You're not isolated on some island where you're the only one who has failed at certain aspects of maintaining your physical body or your physiologic body. Maybe you're struggling with chronic illness, disease process. Maybe you're facing a serious health challenge. Or maybe you're just on the other spectrum where you're just experiencing poor conditioning, poor physical conditioning. But that can accelerate, that can grow. And you definitely want to dig your heels in right now. It is the best time as we approach a produce season of abundance and plenty to make use of that. Now, going back to class, we will detail more strategy at class in terms of what you should be purchasing, what should be simplified or boiled down into success. Because a lot of times if you add too many elements at once, it becomes confusing, overwhelming, and you stop. Some people just feel overwhelmed and they freeze, and some people just throw their hands up altogether. So neither one of those, of course, are productive. But there's a lot of benefit I've seen and a lot of wins ever since 2020. You know, COVID changed so much in our lives, not just the loss of loved ones or people we care about that were caught up in that, but the evil of the bioengineering is now being revealed more and more. If you're paying attention. If you're not paying attention, and take what I say critical, research it yourself. Don't just take my word for it. Research it just like I am. I'm taking some of my valuable time and I'm looking deeper and deeper and deeper into the venom peptides, yeah, you heard that right, that were spliced into the genome of those particular viruses. And that's called gain of function research. You can look it up yourself, you can research it yourself, and you will find probably similar to what I have been finding, that there was a plan behind that, and it has spilled over into our overall health. Not just the heart, not just the respiratory tract, but gastrointestinally, and even central nervous system involvement. So it's not that I wanted to dive into it based on what would be perceived or labeled as a conspiracy theory. It was more about, how is this impacting us going forward? How can I be a part of the solution and not a part of the just stirring the pot? Because you know what that smells like if you just are someone stirring the pot. I want to find out ways to help people enhance their immunity, their resistance, their overcoming and their healing from being impacted by the virus ongoing. So it wasn't just an infection one time and then you're never exposed to it again. It's something that's going to be with us from now on, right? And as we heard by one administrator in a high-level position, what will we do or how will we respond when the next one comes? That's a direct quote. Take it for what it is. I'm just repeating what I heard. So having said all that, change your mind about the direction you're going. And my recommendation is simplicity. So you've heard me say a number of times, master your hydration, master your menu. You don't have to master being a gourmet chef. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about basic food prep. And when you do these things, when you guard your rest, when you guard your hydration, when you streamline and adhere to your menu, then you will succeed, because you're building very foundational pieces that will propel you in a upward direction. And it's very exciting. I experience it myself. You know, I'm off track like everyone else. You know, when I went up to my mother's last weekend and I'm with the family and just kind of being there and getting as much done as I can in the time allotted, sure, I went sideways. But when I'm back home and in my element here at home and in the office, then bang, I go back to what is structured but has variety. Structure with variety is a win. So read into that. Stay structured with your meals in terms of eating hours versus fasting hours, and stay in the mindset of having variety, because your body does respond well to variety, because that will equate to different nutrients that your body will absorb. So keep those pillars in mind. If you're not completely clear about what I'm referring to, make sure you get yourself to class, because I'm going to put a lot of that together again tomorrow evening for the attendees, because it's so important to master this, because eventually you won't have to devote your bandwidth and your energies to it. It will become your new normal, just as normal as it is brushing your teeth, putting your deodorant on, clothing yourself, fixing your hair, whatever. Things that you've done for years that become second nature to you, that you no longer have to devote gray matter to. It's automatic for you. And it's at a higher level because it's more intentionally stewarding yourself in the interest of optimizing your health and lowering any kind of weaknesses so that you don't become a burden. I've heard just yesterday, I heard from someone how important it is for them to not be a burden. They want to be strong. They don't want to burden their family as they age, like they had to take care of their aging parents who didn't take those measures and those steps. So it's so important that you take some time for yourself, get out, go for a walk, determine and solidify in your mind what your goals are. Write them down if you need to. I keep them here regularly because those are the things that I mentioned are some of the exact reasons why I do what I do. Not for obsession, but just for optimization. I don't look for perfection, but I do look for excellence. And inside of excellence, you can find tremendous, tremendous benefit by reaching your goals. God bless each and every one of you. I'll see you in class, if not on the next video. Take care.